Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from anthonymorganti.com, and this is episode 141 of Photo Critiques. And in this episode, I'm pleased to critique the work of Allison Waibel. And Allison sent me in some interesting shots. This first one of the duck, I love the water. I love just the colors, just the way it looks. It's really cool. I like that. The duck itself, it's a little flat and dull. And I think what a lot of folks don't think about when they're outside taking images, your camera, if it has a pop-up flash, you could use it just to add a little light to the main subject. So if your camera has a pop-up flash and you're close enough, now I don't know what focal length lens you used on this. The image data doesn't show any of the camera or lens information on any of the shots. So if you were close enough and your camera has a pop-up lens or pop-up flash, pop it up and use a little flash, and you'll see a lot of these subtle colors really pop, and you'll get a lot more vibrant of an image if you just throw a little light on the subject. Now the other thing is the focus. You guys know from my critiques I talk a lot is that we should always focus on the eyes, whether it's an animal, an insect, a person. Focus on the eyes. In this case, a duck. And the eyes are a little bit soft. Looks like the camera pulled focus right in front of the duck a little bit. You can see how tightly focused this edge of the wing is. So, work on getting the eyes in focus, and don't be afraid to just pop up that flash and throw a little light on these outdoor subjects, and you'll see that it will really make them stand out a lot better. This one here, there's the light from the sun. It has kind of dark shadows on it. Nice reflection though. Here though is focus. We're just blurry. The entire duck on this one is blurry. So if you could just work on getting your focus down and focus on the eyes, and you'll improve these images right off the bat. This is a nice shot. I like the this kind of like archway silhouetted against the sky. It's just the tree. The tree is overlapping. Now, from an artistic, if you're going for some type of artistic shot, then I stand by you, do it. But in most cases, you don't want anything obscuring the subject. And if you have two subjects, I mentioned this a lot in the critiques, you don't want one to overlap the other. You usually want some separation between them. So I don't know how wide of an angle lens you had. If you could get up in front of this tree and use a wider angle lens and get the same type of shot. But I think it's a strong shot without the tree. This is a really nice shot. I like this. I like the kind of contrast of warmth and cold. We have some really subtle colors and shading in here, and it's really nicely processed and nicely composed. This is a very, very nice shot. This is a nice shot. I like the leading line of the road. Of course, the colors, really nice. We have this really bright part of the sky, and it's really hard to photograph this scene because of this bright part of the sky. We have some really dark over here and dark over here, and we have the land, which is a whole different way to process. So if you process for the ground, you might lose the sky. If you process for the sky, you might lose the land. So it's kind of a tough scene to photograph. This would be a nice HDR scene if you were so inclined. You'd expose, or you could just expose for the highlights, it's called. And I've talked about that in past videos, and my Lightroom training videos I talk about it, and in some of the critiques I believe I talk about it. So you would expose so the sky is perfectly exposed, and then the rest of the scene would be pretty dark, but then you'd bring out the colors and the texture and the contrast in Lightroom for the the darker parts of the scene. This is a scene though that I think you could work the scene and get some really interesting shots. You have this nice leading line here. It's kind of down in the lower part of the frame, and I thought maybe if you could get down lower and utilize that more. We have some interesting boulders up here too that would be interesting to have in the foreground. So this is really a neat scene to work if you could work this scene. This is a really cool shot. I like this of the rocks. It looks like the clouds were just over the sun at this moment, so it's kind of got flat lighting. So what I like to do, now this is my own personal taste, is I like to bring contrast up a little more on shots like this. And when you bring the contrast up a little more, it kind of exaggerates these lines that are in the stone, and you could see that they just look a little more dramatic. And you would get that if you had some side lighting on this, but because the sun is behind the clouds, the light was relatively flat. So there's before and there's after, and you could see it even enhances the color, and all I did was turn up the contrast. Before, after. So that's something to consider when you have an overcast day, is you could use contrast usually to bring out some of these this detail in this case the stone. This is a beautiful shot. You know, you got these places in Arizona. As a matter of fact, I hope to get out to Sedona this summer and get some shots like this. And this is an excellent shot. This is just beautiful in every way. I love these scenes. I could look at these all day. This is really, Allison, this is a really wonderful, wonderful shot. Did a really, really nice job. I just like the colors, the subtle lines. It's just a beautiful scene to photograph. This is a really nice shot too. I like this. It's you boosted the saturation just enough. You didn't overdo it, and it's got selective focus, whereas we're focused right in this area here, and we go off into like blurriness this way and blurriness this way. You did a really nice job. The only thing a little bit I could suggest on this, we have some kind of these bright corners on this shot, and usually we don't want the edges brighter than the middle. So in this one, I would say to go down to where is it, effects, and we bring the vignette, just add a little vignette just to darken it a little bit, and it's even too much, like that. Let me get rid of that. So there's before and there's after, and you can see how that vignette just helps keep the viewer more looking at the middle, and they don't, you know, fall off the page because it's so bright. So there's before, there's after. It's a nice shot. I like it. Now this one, compared to the ducks, look at the focus on this. This is great. Really awesome job on focus here. Now again, this is my own personal preference, but I would probably want to show off more of the detail in this area here. So I would come in and I'd take the shadows up and just bring the shadows up. And when you bring the shadows up, you can see we have more detail in here than we had before. There's before, there's after, and it also brings out some of the subtle colors that are in there. So there's the whole scene, before, after. You could further enhance this one too with a vignette if you're so inclined, because we still, you know, the subject is kind of small in this image. It's just really this part right here. So, and we do have some bright areas around it. So if we bring in that vignette, so there's before, and there's after, and I think that helps the image a lot. It's a tough scene to photograph. Again, we have these very bright areas and this darker areas down here, but we have this, you know, frost from the morning, I would assume. We have kind of this you know, fog in here, so it's a really hard scene to photograph. If you're into HDR and you know how to do it, you have a program like Photomatics or something where you could combine the HDR images. This is definitely an HDR shot where you would take, you know, I'd say about 5 exposures, all spaced one stop apart, with the one, you know, perfect, then 2 more that are both 1 stop underexposed and 2 stops underexposed, and then 2 over that are 1 stop overexposed and 2 stops overexposed. And then you'd use a program like Photomatics to combine them, and it would take you know, it would really make this image more dynamic, I believe. This one too could probably be a neat HDR image. This composition, I like this composition a little better than this composition. This one's a little busy. I like that you have the sun here and you just have it peeking out, and it gave us this nice burst effect. But we're just really busy here. We have cactus here, and we have this brush here. We have something, you know, so it's a little more busy. The clouds are kind of neat over here, which gave you this open area here. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I just think this scene is a little more busy, and maybe this is one you could work the scene too. You know, but I still think of the two, this one's a little stronger. And some of these, like this This is an image you'd see in a magazine. That's really a nice shot. This image too is really strong. Now, of course, I modified it. That's the way you had it. If you like it that way, by all means, keep it that way. As we go through, and I think, yeah, this is the last one, I believe. Yeah, this one here too is busy. You did a real nice job on focus on this. I don't know if you could see the bird's eye is in perfect focus. Really well done. There's some movement in the hummingbird's wings, which is you want to show that there's motion, and you did fine in that. I don't know what your shutter speed was or anything because the data wasn't recorded in the EXIF data. So it's nice. I like the composition. We have this partial framing. It's just really busy though, all this stuff around the bird. But you did a nice job with this kind of the way it's framed. It does help it a lot. And but we still have some parts of the bird that are obscured because of that here and here. So it's like I mentioned, it's just such a busy scene and it's difficult to photograph, but you did a nice job of getting the hummingbird in focus. It's just another one if you could work the scene and get the birds from different angles and try to get it so the background isn't as busy. And that's it for Allison. Allison, thank you very much for sharing your work with us. I really do appreciate it. And I'd like to thank everyone for watching all my videos. Thank you very much. If you guys have time, go over to my website, anthonymorganti.com. I got all kinds of stuff over there on photography. And I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to my YouTube videos. And that's it for now. I'll talk to you guys soon.